Hi, I hope everybody's doing well. Um, I'm excited about today's topic. The title of the channel is Recovery and Far Beyond. So, recovery is recovery from trauma or addictions or shame, guilt, that kind of stuff. And far beyond is actually actualizing what you were put on the earth to do, or your potential, or whatever it is. So the topic of today is a tool that I have found to be really powerful in my life. It's called The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. What it is, it's a book that has a narrative at the beginning and the end, but basically it has 10 very short chapters, like 3 or 4 pages, and each of them is a topic that brings you closer to success. Now, it's a program. It's not just a book that you pick up and put down. It's a short book, but basically it has 10 chapters, and you read each chapter. So you start with chapter 1, and you read it in the morning when you wake up. You read that same chapter, 3 or 4 pages, after you eat lunch, and the same 3 or 4 pages before you go to bed. But before you go to bed, the last time you read it aloud. And you do that for 30 days until you are done with 30 days, and then you go on to the next chapter. They call them scrolls in the book. It has like an ancient meaning, but chapters. So, for instance, the first chapter is I will create good habits and become their slave. I don't like the slave thing, but create good habits and make them automatic is essentially what that means to me. The second scroll chapter is I greet this day with love in my heart. And it talks about that for a while, and it talks about training yourself to, whenever you meet anybody, to silently say, I love you. That can change. That's powerful. The third chapter is I persist until I succeed, and then they talk about that. So, essentially, by reading it 3 times a day and the last time out loud, it starts to change. Well, it changes me, and I wake up differently. It might take days or weeks, but eventually I start to wake up differently. I feel like I can do things. I feel like I can accomplish things. I feel like I'm worth it. I start to take massive action towards my goals or my inner purpose. I take massive action that I wasn't taking before, because that's what it says. It says, try again, and before you go to bed, try one more time. And one of the scrolls is, today I will multiply my value 100-fold. And they're serious. That's the goal, is today you're going to multiply your value 100-fold. Don't ask me how, but eventually you start to see ways to do that. So it affects me on a subconscious level. I think that's the goal. By reading it 3 times, it's like I don't need to force it, like, yeah, I'm going to really do this, I'm going to create good habits, okay. But eventually it gets in your subconscious, that mind, part of the mind that doesn't sleep, and it starts to look for things that are in alignment with it, and also you start to behave like that. So now, this was important to me because I rewrote part of it. I started when I was 19. My girlfriend showed me the book, and I started reading it 2 weeks before I got one of the biggest jobs of my life. And it was because of the stuff I was reading, the paradigm shift, that I was able to even go for this kind of a job and get it. So, but anyway, I stopped, and I think one reason I stopped was because there's quite a bit of like sexist language in there, or sexist, but not against women, but it's like it's all male, It's like salesman instead of salesperson, but it's a lot like he does this, and he encourages you to think of yourself like a lion. I understand like thinking yourself as being able to achieve anything, but I don't like predators in the animal world or in the human form. So I would much rather be a powerful rabbit or something like that than I would a lion. So anyway, what I did was I rewrote it. I rewrote those parts that bothered me, that I think is why I stopped. So I changed all he's to he or she and that kind of stuff. It made me feel better. Don't ask me why, it's just the way it is. And I changed any images or analogies that bothered me. But the essence is there, so I got the PDF, I rewrote the parts, and then I printed it out. So that's what I do every morning. I'm on scroll 3, which is I persist until I succeed. And I find myself wanting to take more and more action, and I am taking action, making these videos. That's one of them. So making phone calls, sales calls for my product, service, really. And so how this relates to like recovery and far beyond is for people who have trauma in their life and have shame and have people who want you to blame yourself and all this stuff, and then you have on top of that parents who, boy, they didn't really achieve in their lives, they did the best they could and all that, but they didn't pass that on to you, or they didn't pass that on to me, that I could do anything, that massive action was necessary, that it was necessary to let go of all hate and just love, that you could take a day and try to multiply your value, the value of your product or service, or to your community 100-fold, like that kind of stuff. That persistence is basically the key. So parents who didn't teach you that, not only didn't teach you that, but like aren't good at validating anything that you think or feel, it's like, where are we going to get the kind of input we need to perform at a high level and be all we can be, so to speak, We have to get it from somewhere, and it wasn't from our parents. At least for me, it was like the exact opposite message. In society and most people around, they think of reasons why things can't be done. So where are we going to get it? I mean, people who don't have trauma in their lives or addiction, they have a hard enough time, like, living up to their potential, like. So for people who had low self-esteem and stuff imprinted on them by early experiences, bullying, whatever, it's like, where do we get it? Well, we have to get it from external sources, either close relationships or books or tapes or lectures. So this thing worked for me. It has the 10 principles that if they become ingrained in me, there's no stopping anyone that has those things ingrained in them, those principles. So that's how it relates to recovery and far beyond to me. Is like, once you're starting to recover, then I don't want to live the rest of my life just sort of recovered and focusing on how I recovered from the past. I now want to be all I can be, as if I had that perfect upbringing and stuff like that. Really supportive parents who said you could do anything in the world. And I don't know who Og Mandino is. I don't really even have a mental picture of him, but through his book, he's definitely a leader for me, and people like Matthew McConaughey and other people attribute their success largely to the book, and it costs $8 for the book, so that's not like you have to join a self-help group or a cult or anything like that. You just have the book, you do the 30 days, and there's nothing bad in there. There's nothing bad in there. It's only good. So you may need to find that you need to rewrite it if some things bother you in there that don't fit you. But the important thing is that you do it, just like anything else in life. So I wish that for you. We have to get it from somewhere, folks. We have to get that positive training from somewhere, and you're never too old or too, if you think you're messed up, to get it, So just be patient with yourself, and just by reading the scrolls, it starts to get into your mind and change you, so you don't have to, tightly clench it and, try to force yourself to memorize it. It just kind of happens naturally. Just have faith in the process. So I hope that's helpful. The Greatest Salesman in the World, or I think the Greatest Salesperson in the World, by Og Mandino. And That's my suggestion. Okay, thanks a lot.